Oh my God, here we are. We're back. Back from the depths, back from a short vacation, but not a vacation on 24 because the clock is on. Tick, tick, tick. Everybody, welcome to the post-episode issues. I'm Phil the Issues Guy, and this is 24, Live Another Day, day 9, the hours of 7 to 8 p.m. And this episode was probably, all in all, let's just get it right out of the way, was probably my favorite episode of the season. This felt the most, like, awesome 24.
I was just psyched at the little twist. We knew it looked a little hinky at the end of last week, and now we see why.
Yes.
And they didn't waste any bones about it. They got right to it. They didn't make us sweat through a half an hour or any crap like that. They got right to it.
Let's get to the two big headlines. President Heller alive, Lady Stark through the moon door. Bam, bam. That's all. Those are our two headlines. We could end the podcast right here. That's all we need to say.
She could fly better than her sister.
He did. He should have said, like, this has been said. We're a couple of days late, so we're missing all the jokes. But Jack Bauer should have said, "The Lannisters send their regards," as he threw her out the window,
or something like I only ever loved one woman.
Audrey, your sister, Audrey Raines, and just threw her out the window. I think the funniest part of that scene, we'll get into it a little bit more later, was Jack Bauer being so proud of himself that he got her right next to her son. You know, he like threw her and tossed her. He's like, yes, right.
He pulled the son right out the window. That was great. That was just like
awesome, Bauer.
As soon as he picked up the gun and ran over the seat to look out the window, you knew he was getting pulled through.
Last one. So Lady Stark again dies right next to her son. She falls dead, bam, right next to her son. So many wonderful Game of Thrones moments. You almost think that maybe there was some humor afoot there from the 24 writers deciding to kill Margot.
There had to be, because even that shot when it shows them both from the air looking down, and both their heads are popped open on the concrete, that reeked of Oberyn as well. That reeked of the mountain fight, you know.
And if you just go as simple as Bran getting thrown out in the early episodes and what happened to Bran in that episode, it's
right,
just
a lot of comparisons, because that was Catelyn Stark's son too, who went flying through the window first, just like Bran.
But headline, Heller is alive, Margot is dead. And we're going to get into all the 24 action. But if this is your first time checking out this podcast, please hit the subscribe button. We are post-episode issues, and check out issuesprogram.com, where you can catch up on all our past podcasts and stories that we come up with. If you're into The Walking Dead, if you're into Game of Thrones, if you're into Breaking Bad, we have all that coverage for you and a lot more stuff coming in the future. But here at 24, we've got 3 more episodes after this. This really was the end of a storyline, the beginning of the other. We're going to have
been saying all along, like they were going to wrap this story up 3/4 of the way through, which is basically what they did. And now what do we have to focus on? We basically have the CIA underplot of her being set up by her boss, and then the Chloe O'Brien anonymous people, and the Russians with Jack Bauer, who's now supposedly has a presidential pardon and all this crap, and a forged document to the Russians saying you're going to be a prisoner.
Right. So we have a couple of things setting up, but it's a lot more personal in the end here. We're dealing with like the personal relationship of Chloe and Adrian Cross, and how she's going to deal with finding out he's a true villain on the show. What Chloe and Jack's relationship, what Chloe's future is. Will she ever wash that shit off her eyes? I can't believe at one point in the episode, she said, "Stop, I need to wait here for a second. I need to go into the store." Goes into a store just to buy eye makeup, to fix her eye makeup, to come back out to the car. To me, that's the one. If we're gonna talk about one thing in the episode or just made me laugh, I didn't think it was bad. It was just, I'm like, what the hell, Chloe? They're going out of their way to show how Chloe is turning herself into something that probably she thinks he wants. It's not because
it could have been. I think it would have been a much better way to go about getting that eye makeup back on Chloe, by just getting her back to the Cross's lair and having her go into like her desk drawer that's got an extra friggin' mascara. She had to run into the store to buy one. It seemed a little, come on, Chloe, time's of the essence here. Tick, tick, tick.
Yeah, while she's going, what? No, wait a second. Gotta get the point just right at the end. But I mean that's a minor part in what was a really cool episode. Good Chloe stuff this episode. Good Cross stuff. Awesome. Benjamin Bratt came to play tonight. This was the best Bratt episode. He really showed off his skills as an actor playing the evil guy and switching his mind and watching him squirm while waiting for Bauer to leave the room, knowing he wasn't going to try anything with Jack in the room because he knew Jack would just kill him in 2 seconds. He needed to wait for Jack to leave. But let's get into it. Let's get into what happened.
I was just surprised that. Okay, I get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into it because we could just talk about the whole episode here, and it's fair to say that we were saying before the episode started when we were talking in our pregame that this might have, in some ways, this could be the quickest podcast ever. My notes for this episode, I wasn't taking many notes other than this happened and this was cool and then this guy did this and oh my god. So there's not like a lot of stuff to really get deep into on 24, but I think that's when 24 is at its best. I think the writers' weaknesses show when they try to get all deep character stuff with anybody but Jack. Because we definitely did have some Jack progression. What we've been talking about in the last couple of weeks with watching Jack go from normal agent type guy that we saw in season 1 to this person that has I've got no strings to hold me down.
Well, that has a lot to do with the producers and the writers. You were right. I heard they got these guys. They did Homeland together. They did this together, and they got something else coming out. Tyrant. It feels like it's like the Assad story, the guy that's in Syria. He goes away, gets this big, huge Western education, comes back and takes over his father's kingdom and rules with an iron thumb, behest of his family and shit.
Interesting.
Something. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing as to that's what it's about, and I only know a little bit about the guy Assad to begin with, but that looks like it's going to be a good show, and it's made by these same people, so...
So let's hope it's more action and I mean they definitely have their thing down. They do it. They know what works and they make it work. And with Jack Bauer, right now, without anybody to hold him back, this is a post-season 8 when Renee Walker died. The post-Renee Walker Jack Bauer who just doesn't give a fuck anymore. And he said it earlier, and I'm going to repeat it again. He hates these people. He hates these people, and that's
obvious. I mean, it's very hard for me to remember a time when I saw a good guy on television execute a bad guy after they were in cuffs.
Like that. Exactly.
Well, not even just like anything. Like, when a good guy on television puts you in cuffs, that's it. You go to jail, and they go, you can't kill me, you're a good guy, or something like that. And they punch him and go, yeah, but I am a good guy, and you go to jail. I hate you, bitch. Throws her out the window.
Yeah, I don't care. And he was lying about one person's death on his... He's not going to feel guilty about that.
No. And it continued the whole theme of, like, in this episode, he doesn't kill any good guys. When Benjamin Bratt runs out the building with the device, if you move, I'll kill you, he says to the guard, then knocks him out again.
I love that. He says, yeah, move and I'll kill you. The guy totally obeys, then he just knocks him out for fun. But he won't kill him. And that happened all the first half of the season. And it makes seeing what Jack was doing at the first half of the season that moved a little slow and he didn't kill a lot of people. He just knocked people out, shot them in their kneecaps. It just shows how he has his own moral compass. And he'll go to any distance to stop the bad guy.
Well, yeah, they had to show us the contrast between exactly, like, he has not been killing. And now, like, the only time I think we saw him kill was when he went to go get Patrick and Margot's daughter from the drug dealer den or whatever. He killed a bunch of them. Because
they're like a bad guys, quote unquote.
Right.
And that's where Jack is. And I think they set that up, that parallel that you were just talking about, to show you that Jack's not out of control, that he's just made a decision in his mind that these people, these terrorists should all be killed. And if they're all killed, we'll live in a better place. Yep.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, pretty much. And so Jack just doesn't give a fuck anymore. And again, if you've watched the whole story arc of everything that Jack's been through, really not been a real agent since probably around season 4 when he kind of stopped being an agent. And every other one, it was something like this where he gets reinstated and then deals with working outside the law to some extent. But after season 8, with everything that happened in that story arc, where the president, we talked about this a little bit before to clue Joe in, but the president fucked him over, and then the person he loved got killed again, and he just lost it and said, enough of this shit. I'm my own moral high ground. I'm not working for any higher power, so to speak. And he just went Jack Bauer crazy at the end of season 8 and killed everybody he could and just didn't give a shit. And it was this Jack Bauer, or the beginnings of this Jack Bauer. And it's good to see that the story, they didn't just ignore that and make him go back to be a Boy Scout. They proceeded that along. And you're right, Joe. There's seeing a good guy. We've seen a lot of bad guys or gray characters where like a Walter White, for instance, or some of the guys from Sons of Anarchy, like Jax Teller or something like that, where they're good, but they're bad people, but you relate to them because they have a gray quality or they have good elements, but they're not good guys.
Right.
Jack Bauer
is a good guy.
Jack Bauer's a good guy. Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe you see the only other person you'd see do something like this, but would be like, again, to do the comparison, would be John McClane. Maybe Bruce Willis the Bruce Willis action hero could get away with doing something like that. But he'd have to do it with a joke. But by being a cop. So let's get into this episode, even though there's not necessarily much. We're just kind of going to recap some of the big events. So at the beginning, the episode starts off, and immediately we find out that President Heller was not killed. We get a little bit of a reaction of the whole cabinet being sad that he died, but for the most part, we get right into the finding out in the first, 5 minutes of the episode that Heller's not dead. Chloe, at the end of the episode, as Joe was saying, you got a couple of clues. Another thing I need to point out that I've read on, I can give Reddit quality for the credit for reading about this, the silent end. I guess in some cases when a character dies right at the end of a 24 episode, when you hear the beep, 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 beep at the end, in some episodes when certain characters have died, you didn't hear the beep, 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 beep. Every time a main character has died, it goes silent. So this episode didn't go silent. So there was this whole conspiracy theory that it didn't go silent, Heller's not dead. So I feel like that needs to be mentioned, in an awesome job by any of the people that are way smarter than me that come up with that stuff.
That's a very small, subtle difference that they've put, that if that's true, they put that, because I haven't seen any of the seasons, they put that in there for the hardcore fans. They do that for the hardcore fans. I thought the editing looked weird. Like when Katie and I watched that scene 2 weeks ago when that when the missile came down from the drone, Katie and I were like, that just seemed edited together weird. The way the missile, like they showed them, then they showed the explosion. It was very strange. And so I'd have to watch it again to see if how strange it felt the first time matches up with why it was strange, because it was also a video feed thing, whatever.
Or maybe they were trying to set it up to look a little strange, because I just think it's one of those things that because of the technology that they were using to do that and the money that they have to put into it, it just couldn't help but look a little video game-ish as you see the plane approaching the stadium. It just looked a little weird. It didn't look real. It looked like it took you out for a second. That's what I really like, again, about this episode, that all the action scenes, and they did a lot of when they were charging, we're going to get into it in a second, when they were charging into Margot's base, were all just traditional action scenes, and the way they shot it was awesome. Like, when they're shooting that type of stuff, it's great. It's tough to do super explosions on the budget, especially in the CG world, because they'd rather waste the money rather just use the little money they have to do basic computer-generated graphics rather than try to do big, huge things. And it's becoming a problem to a certain extent because television scope is becoming bigger and bigger, because TV is becoming such a huge thing in shows like Game of Thrones.
To go up, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Expect something to happen to change things up because of the streaming and services. Something's going to change, because how many times when you're watching The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones Before the Wall episode or a couple other things where you're like, there's supposed to be thousands and thousands of zombies. That doesn't look like thousands of thousands. There's like one shot a season, like when they were driving the car in The Walking Dead this season, you see like, or if people don't watch The Walking Dead, there's one scene when you're driving, then you suddenly see thousands of zombies in the distance.
8,400 or something like that.
But you don't see that in every episode. Or
you should.
And you should to show scope in certain cases when it's important to see things like that. Game of Thrones is another example that, like the Blackwater, a lot of people have complaints about that episode because it didn't seem like it had the scope that it did in the books because they didn't have the money to pay for it. I don't want to get too into talking about Blackwater.
Even Winterfell, they never made Winterfell seem like it was as big as it was supposed to be. It seemed like a small little town in the north, and it's supposed to be a city big enough to raise 20,000 fighting men. Fighting men, not just like 20,000, but 20,000 fighting men. That's all. That's huge for the, supposed time and all that. So, and they never made it quite feel as big as it was supposed to, and they do that a lot. And it does speak to the budget. They're trying to. The scope of TV is trying to match cinema, and cinema is running away with
that, especially with the fact that all cinema really does right now is big battles and that traditional movie where the bad guy and then there's a huge battle and a huge action scene at the end. So it's becoming
age of the trilogy, the age of the action trilogy.
Mm-hmm. So it's fair to say that some of the explosions, some of the big action scenes in 24 in the last couple episodes of the drone stuff couldn't have looked as good as they probably wanted it to look. But when they get into stuff that they were doing tonight, the basic action of shooting Jack Bauer doing his Batman, John McClane thing, Jack Bauer thing, that works. That works so freaking well, and it's so fun to watch. So Chloe worked her magic and hooked into the video feed of the drone and set up a loop to kind of fool the
she
bad
gave
guy.
us that lead, last week. She was like, I got 2 leads into the drones, but I can't figure out what they do. I need more time, and that's as Heller's walking out to the field. There wasn't enough time. So where I was thinking, it's going to be a weapons feed, and she's going to disable the missile before it strikes or something. It ended up being the video feed, and she loops the video and tricks them that Heller's still standing there.
Yeah, and a good quick loop. You got to give Chloe video editing skills as much as she has her computer skills. I got to give that's a quick editing. Good job, Chloe, to do that off, and even better job from Ian for discovering it after the fact, but not quick enough. Not quick enough. So we get the Prime Minister apologizing to Audrey and saying your father's sacrifice was great and he did a great thing, stupid thing but a great thing. And Audrey gives Mark Bordeaux the death stare. So once again, so when Margot and Ian discover it, 5 of the drones of the 6 drones that they had already been destroyed, and she's giving her speech about how their stepdad, which I thought was interesting. This is the first time they said stepdad, not regular.
They really let us know this episode finally that they're not the blood kids of this psycho terrorist that America killed. Yeah, and the 6th drone is in a dead spin. A dive down to be destroyed as well.
So once they figure it out, we have a cool freak out scene where Margot's like, oh, no, stop, we gotta figure it out, and they recapture the drone and they set it on a course to Waterloo Station. They decided to send it to which having found out a little bit is probably one of the most busy stations in London. So she wants
especially now that everybody's panicking. Nothing. Fry says nothing starts a panic like telling people to remain calm. So everybody's trying to evacuate London because there have been these missiles like over the last day exploding all over the city. So I'm sorry, but Wembley Stadium blew up, the hospital blew up. People are panicking and running. They're not going to stay. And so she knows that, so she sets the drone to go right to Waterloo Station to blow up. She's watching the reporter at Wembley Stadium on TV report about how everybody is evacuating London, and so she decides that's what she's going to go blow up.
Oh yes, smart. She really hated the outfit the news reporter was wearing. And she's like, I want to blow her up.
She's wearing the same shirt as me.
I look better in that shirt. God damn it. So Chloe's able to find Margot's hideout with Adrian Cross using some special awesome GPS tracker that he's using in his spare time while being a bad guy. And and Margot is in East London, and they don't know exact location. They know the building, but they don't know an exact. Oh no, they know the neighborhood, and then they're able to narrow it down with his help to the exact building that she's in. So we get Eric back in this episode. Finally, we get Eric Ritter back. Where the hell's he been? I mean, I guess he was injured earlier in the season, but if he's okay enough later in the day to help out, he couldn't have been that injured. But whatever. Yeah. So Kate and Eric arrive soon after, and they immediately engage with Margot and her half a dozen, but they say half a dozen, but it looks more like 20, 25 goons.
Oh, yeah, it looked like much more than half a dozen, because not only did you have all the guys that they were fighting at the front door, but there was another group of guys up on the fifth floor with her, shooting at the elevator or the stairwell or whatever it was. So it definitely looked like more than half a dozen guys, and I think it's weird that at this point none of these soldiers are hired, or wherever the fuck she got her little troop of soldiers from. None of them are like, oh, you mean they're all coming here and we're not leaving? Forget this. I'm out of here.
Yeah. It seems like, are they all so loyal to her husband? I mean. It just seems like she's got some dummy foot soldiers. She's got some stormtroopers.
She married into and converted into Islam. If we assume that's what she did, I'm pretty sure that's what she did.
That's probably why they implied there's no other reason to say stepfather there.
Right, and that just makes it even more of like really these guys are that blind loyal to her. I don't know. I couldn't get that.
Yeah, she's a good 24 villain, but her backstory wasn't that clearly defined. It was just like, and even when they show the video of the explosion, it looked kind of shady. Like some stuff might have been up there as she's crawling away. I don't know. They haven't been super clear on her backstory. In fact, like we were saying, tonight was the first night that they even mentioned that it was stepfather. Yeah. So did he kill the first husband? How did the first husband die? I mean, how do all the kids feel about that? The fact that is he just not his kid, or is she his son from another I don't know. There's a whole bunch of mess.
And that kiss that she gave him?
That was a weird kiss. Like, is it stepfather? Like, how's it stepfather? Yeah,
that was a weird kiss. That wasn't just like I'm kissing my son goodbye. I might be kissing my son goodbye for the last time here. That was I don't know, like it was your stepfather, but I'm also your stepmother, and you're like twice orphaned kind of kiss or something.
Yeah, there was a little, because maybe that was a little shout out to the Game of Thrones and the incest factor. I don't know. Maybe it was done for humor purposes. There was a little weirdness going on, more than a little weirdness going on with that. So after Kate and Eric arrive, as I said, they engage the soldiers, and Kate has a smart idea because they need to take out a power generator, because Chloe says if you can take out some of the electric noise. If
you take out all the electricity, the backup power will kick on, and she'll be able to tell what floor in the building they are by where the power is going.
Exactly. Chloe will be able to stop them. So reinforcements arrive, and Kate and Eric push in through the building on the ground up, while Jack comes in from air and lands on the roof.
Oh well, we got a good moment where President Heller's in the parking lot of Wembley Stadium, and talking to Jack. And even Margot and her son catch this on a video feed of them talking and splitting up, and Heller's like, I need to go back to the headquarters there, to wherever I'm staying in London, to the Secret Service and all that. Jack's like, no, you can't give some specific orders. Go with my man,
Belichick.
And that's it. And then as soon as he leaves and he gets in the car with Jack's man, he's sitting in the back seat. He's like, all right, now take me to Secret Service headquarters. And the guy's like,
Nope.
He's like, I'm commanding you as President of the United States. He goes, that's good, great. You're President. Only I'm not an American citizen, and we're not in America. And Jack said, no going back there. So Shut up.
Now Belichick, that's how to be a good soldier. I mean, Belichick isn't a useless foot soldier. He's smart. He has that funny line where I was going to talk about it later, but we might as well say it now. Funny line where the guy asks, President Heller's like, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Belichick." And he's like, "What's your last name?" He's like, "Belichick, one name, like Madonna."
I kind of got the feeling too, though, when he said, Jack said no, and that's it, and they started driving away. I was like, oh no, is he going to kidnap the president?
I kind of thought, and I actually later on the episode, right after Jack kills Margot, I had a weird thought for a second that Jack was going to turn out to be our bad guy, as he's saying, collect everything. I forgot that there were other agents there. I was like, is he telling all his people to collect all that stuff, and is Jack going to take over this thing? Because he doesn't think any military official any military organization is good enough to hold on to a device this powerful. So Jack's taking it into his custody.
Especially now that they know what it is. And as soon as... Oh, keep going.
Yeah. So reinforcements arrive, and Margot and Ian start freaking out as they they lock in the target into the station so nothing can stop it, apparently. So Jack arrives at the window and kind of does a very John McClane kind of thing. He wraps out the hose, wraps it around his waist, and jumps down to kind of climb into the window.
Yeah, I was like, where did he get this rope from? All of a sudden, he's got a rappelling rope. He's going to rappel down the side of the building. Like, I didn't see him. Did he go back to the helicopter to get a rope?
I don't know. And Jack's not the best repeller in the world either. It wasn't the best. Jack Bauer can do almost everything good, but the rappelling was kind of slow and clumsy, but he did it.
Yeah, he dodged bullets while at the end of a rope, so...
Yeah, the bullets are afraid of Jack Bauer. No, so Ian shoots the window when he sees him, and then makes the dumbest mistake. This is as smart as Ian's shown himself at times. This is a dumb move by Ian. He goes and sneaks up to the door to look out, the window to look out to see if the guy's dead. Like, who are you dead out there, Joe? And Jack does the video game move where he grabs him off the hanging rope and just throws him out the window.
It pulls him right out the window.
And Margot, again, what's her name? I can't think of the actress's name, but Margot al-Harazi, Catelyn Stark. She can really scream. I want to see her in a straight-out horror movie. When she's, you killed me! Don't do it, Frey! Let this end now! And she starts to let this end.
This especially, she has this raspy-ish, like, I've been a smoker for 30 years, kind of like, what's their name? Romancing the Stone chicks, like, voice.
Oh, Kathleen Turner?
Yeah. It's getting there. In a few years, it'll be a much more Kathleen Turner voice. Hey, I'm Dr. Girlfriend.
So after Jack subdues Margot, there's only 30 seconds till a missile strikes. He gets on the horn with Chloe, who goes, "Hey, Jack, did you get him?" And she's like, "Yeah, I got her in custody, but the drone's gonna hit in 30 seconds." And we get a flashback to all the people waiting in the presidential Oval Office as they're all scared. It's gonna hit. Oh my God, it's gonna hit. And this is where it gets really exciting. We're up against the clock. We got 5 seconds, or we get 20 seconds. And Chloe explains to Jack how to do it. You ever played Afterburner? Yeah.
There should be a video. There should be an targeting interface. Just fly it away. It's laser guided.
Yeah, it's just a joystick, Jack. You can do it.
I think you just channeled Chloe there a little bit.
I know. I made Chloe a little weird there, But then, so he grabs the stick and he pulls it out, and it ends up going right into the London Bay. And Jack saved the day. Bum bum bum.
Or something. The river.
Yeah, in the river or whatever. And everyone cheers. We have like the Rocky moment where the good guys win, and we have like a celebration moment. But no. This isn't just a simple celebration moment. We have our usual, the bad guy yelling at, "You've screwed all my plans, Jack Bauer! Because of you and President Heller, hundreds of people died."
Hundreds of people.
It was a Dr. Evil moment. It was definitely a Dr. Evil moment. Yeah, it was. Hundreds of people will die if you don't give me $1,000. But still, it didn't matter at all to Jack Bauer. Hundreds of people or not, he whispers to her, "The only death I have on my hands is yours."
Throws her right out the window. He doesn't care. That's not on his hands. He's like, ah.
And And for whatever it's worth, he didn't just toss her. He didn't just push her regular. He shot putted her out of the window to make sure she landed right next to
Perfectly next to.
her dead son. And then he gives a smile at the camp, looks out the window, and just goes, ha, 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 like this weird smile like that. That makes him happy.
And he threw her out backwards, too, so she never knew exactly when the ground was going to hit.
But Margot definitely was a great 24 villain. This isn't how I expected her to go. I expected Jack to grab her right now, pin her down, maybe torture her a little bit. Tell me what you know. Do you have any other plans in action? You know, try to do the whole Jack Bauer thing. I did not expect her to. That was a very unexpected moment for me. I did not.
I gotta say that as far as unexpected moments, I found myself really, really, really loving this moment enough to put this in one of my top TV moments. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't, having not watched Jack Bauer and 24 too much in the past, almost none of the last 7 or 8 seasons, that it was very unexpected. I enjoyed it a lot. I found myself going, yeah, yeah, doing a little bit of a cheer. I don't usually do that kind of crap. I didn't do it much this season for Game of Thrones and all the awesome moments that were in there. So
I gotta say, I agree with you 100%. This was one of the best Jack Bauer kills in all 8 seasons, and he's done
maybe
things.
It's because we've been so, over the last 10 weeks and 4 seasons, we have been so beaten down by that other show, that show that we've been watching every Sunday night, that we have no moments of justice where the good guy just says, fuck you to one of these bad, evil people, and just finally does what we all want them to do. And this was that moment. It wasn't in that show, but this was that moment that just washed over us through the TV, the TV universe. So
I would say, Joe, I'd go further than that, but I agree with you 100% to say that all the shows that we watch are the ones that you and I watch together. This, Sons of Anarchy, Walking Dead.
They've been all holding it from us. You're right.
Yeah, they all hold those wonderful moments from us to a certain extent, and give you these horrible moments that you're like, oh my God, why are you doing this? Where even if you get them doing awesome things, they're doing bad things. And even though this was somewhat of a bad thing, it was still, as you put it perfectly, it was what everybody almost in a way was thinking that you would want to do to a person that did this kind of thing. Jack Bauer has dealt with this more than almost anybody in the world, and it just feels so good to watch him just not give a fuck and like take it a step further than Batman, to be like the Punisher ultimately. And that's what he's turning into, like a Punisher type character, where it's just like he's still working for justice and he's working as a good guy, but he's a vigilante good guy that doesn't kill innocent people, makes a clear line, and he's so good at doing it that he can make sure that innocent people don't die unless they're by someone else's hand. He's not going to kill any innocent people by his own hand. But he is just not going to take it anymore. And I agree with you. And what I was trying to say was, I watched every single 24 season and Redemption, the TV movie. And he's had a couple of kills like this where he kills terrorists that deserve it or people he hates, like right down to Nina Myers when he kills her for what he finds out what he needs to know about her. But it comes down to he finds out what he needs to know about her first, then kills her because of what she did to his wife, in an execution sort of style. And every time it's a kill sort of like this. I can't remember a time, and I'd have to go back and watch, and I don't think I'm ever going to go back and watch every season of 24. But, I mean, I'll watch seasons here and there, but not all together like I did before. But I can't remember a kill like this. I'd watched every season, and I was as shocked as you. I was mouth open, gaping, what? Stephanie and I were looking back. It was to compare it to Game of Thrones on a different level. It was like, and I'm not going to say it because people might not have watched it, the big spoiler thing that happens at the end of season 1. At that moment, at season 1, I was mouth open, jaw open.
What the
no, they didn't just do that. That's all I want to say in case someone hasn't watched the show. But because that just knowing about Game of Thrones is, that there's shocks there. But so I'm not spoiling much. But with 24, like, this was another moment like that for TV for me, where Stephanie and I were looking at each other like, what the? Oh my! Did he just? Oh, and
Yeah,
that was
that's not good guys don't kill people like that. They're not the judge, jury, and executioner.
nope.
He's supposed to bring her in, charge her, put
Charge
her in
her.
jail.
Maybe torture her. Maybe torture her. Yeah, it's come on, Jack. Like it was amazing, and I think the good because you're absolutely right. It's like the good guy is gonna maybe torture the bad guy, maybe punch him around a little bit, like Batman does with the Joker and Dark
Not
Knight.
through a window.
No, I meant because you were just saying it, and I kind of interrupted you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like it's just you can bully it around, but the good guy just, as Joe said, just doesn't do this, and Jack Bauer doesn't do exactly this, and it just comes, it's yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, and just threw him off, and it's like ha 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 ha, and he smiles at it.
Yep.
Amazing.
It brought him joy. It did. He was like,
brought him
"Good,
a lot of
I
joy."
win."
And I would go as far to say that the first half of this episode, the first half an hour of this episode of 24, I think the whole episode was good, but specifically the first half, I'd put it up there with almost any TV I've watched this year. Like, just that half an hour of the episode is, and I've liked a lot of other stuff from 24 Live Another Day, but just for that, this season was worth it. That was 24 at its best. And action up against the clock. It's what 24 was invented for. That we're up against the clock. The president's vice presidential candidate or whatever is the presidential candidate's going to be killed at this time. It needs to be stopped. Yada yada yada. A nuke's going to go off. XYZ. We need to stop it. And
the only flaw with this format is that after this half hour was done, I thought pretty much it was over. I was like, okay, that was a quick 45, 50 minutes, and we only have maybe one more commercial, scene left where we're just going to get like a setup for next week or something, or like okay, so she's dead, the president's safe, happy, happy, joy, joy, move on, end the episode. So I was almost done watching. I found it hard to stay focused on the rest of the episode because I had just blew my emotional load all over that parking lot floor. You know what I mean? Like on the ground there, out that window. I was so happy it wrapped up a whole season's worth of stuff that when ultimately I couldn't concentrate on the last half of this episode.
yeah, and this is something that I'm actually surprised when this season was announced. 24 has always, since the second season, has always, I think it's the second season, maybe the third season, has always at a later point in the season introduced a secondary storyline where you meet another villain and it's another whole storyline.
Right, which we started out with that storyline, which is the betrayal of Blonde Chick and her husband being set up.
Right, and also the Chinese stuff. We're always introduced to it, but the main plot line is the push through with the main story, and then you go on to the next one, the next one. Sons of Anarchy does this as well as a story device. We see someone get killed at the end of a season, and that becomes the main story focus at the beginning of the season. But when it happens, you don't think of it as much. But then you're like, oh my God, the guy from Oz is gonna kill everybody. Yeah. So whatever. In 24 does this really well. It's something I think other shows have picked up from 24 because it's how they changed things up at the third season or the second season when they got stale of a one plot format where there was one main storyline. And I almost thought, it being the 12 episode arc, that they were just going to have this season be one storyline. I think it's a little weird that they're introducing ultimately
for what, 4 episodes?
Yeah, for 3 episodes left.
3 episodes. And here's where you'll get your 12-hour jump or something like that you were saying was going to happen this season.
There's rumors now that it's not going to happen, that it was the idea at the beginning to make it happen, but I'm not sure if I've mentioned this on the podcast, but it is worth mentioning that unlike other shows, the writers for 24, since the very beginning, do not plan ahead really. They write as they go. They have they start the plot off, and then they just kind of write as they go. They don't.
Kurt Sutter kind of does that too. Like he starts filming they start filming the season before he's even done writing it a lot of the times.
Exactly, and that's what the 24 writers do as well. That's their way. Unlike someone in either way work. I'm not saying it is a bad thing. I'm saying it helps them figure out where everything feels like it should go next, but it
Right, because you
also
get to see it.
but it also creates some story structure bullshit where they fuck stuff up early that they shouldn't have messed up if they knew where it was going to go later. So
Right.
sometimes that stuff kind of happens too. And I think that was an example of where they planned this out to have it have a time jump, but then as they're doing the season, they're like, it doesn't really make sense to do one. So I'm not sure. Rumor has it if they do it, it's just going to be in the last episode. That these next two are going to be hours connected. But you're right that it seems like now's the time to do the jump. Now's the time to do the so we'll see. It doesn't look like it though from scenes from next week. If we're getting too into this. So right after the halfway point, we already talked about this. Belichick introduces himself to Heller. That his name's Belichick, like Madonna. Belichick's awesome. So he brings the president back to the presidential suite where all the Secret Service guys are ready to shoot him, and the president is a man of his word and a nice guy, or not a nice guy, but kind of like a straight shooter, and basically is just like, this guy's with me, he helped me out, let him go. And we get an interesting look from Belichick of like surprise. I think he expected to go into custody there.
But really, for what?
For being Chechen, I think that's why he like for just because it happened to him earlier in the episode from the British guys when he was just doing his job.
At that point, he had a sniper rifle on the roof of a building. They had no idea who the hell he was.
Filling up to an army of Secret Service guys that have guns, and he's had the president in his custody for a while, and he's a Chechen rebel. I think you could understand why he might feel like he's gonna go into some prison cell.
Get interrogated and stuff, right? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right.
Or at least debriefed, like with extreme prejudice. So he runs back in. The president comes back in. Everybody, don't worry, I'm alive. Sorry, Audrey. Sorry I had to do that to you, Audrey. And this is where we get one of our funniest moments of the episode, where Stephen Fry at his best in this episode. This is another great Stephen Fry episode. Great casting. Thank you for casting Stephen Fry as the Prime Minister. He just does an excellent job of that role. He adds a lot. And this is one of those scenes where
I've been a fan of his for like 30 years. I've been a fan of his.
Absolutely. Me too. I've always loved Stephen Fry. And he adds so much in this scene just with his facial expression when he goes, I'm sure, James, that was the stupidest thing you ever could have done in the world, but I'll thank you for it forever. And then Heller turns to him and goes, well, Alistair, I'm sure that you would do the same thing if you were in my situation. And Stephen Fry's look just was like, like, no, I wouldn't. Are you fucking kidding me? I totally would not do the same thing. You're an idiot. No, I would have an underling do it. Dress him up like me. You're an idiot. So we cut over to Kate around this time where we find out the bad news that Jordan is dead. Steve also receives the news and understands that he finds out that they also found the hitman as well, who has his cell phone number, and with just any manage of investigation, they can connect it back to Steve Navarro, as we find out later in the episode when Jack's investigating it. That
I thought it was fun that they said that the other guy that was dead and the assassin guy he didn't have anything on him to identify him. His clothes didn't even have any writing on them, any language.
So apparently, not only is this guy so I would buy that if he was a capable assassin, but because this guy is the biggest bumbler.
He got taken out by what did she call him? Or even at the beginning, it showed it gave him a label like a
computer analyst.
It's computer nerd.
Yeah, come on.
He's not out there like. So the only reason why he gets the better of this assassin is because he's literally knows he's fighting for his life. So he gets that superhuman strength and lifts the car off his uncle because he knows he's fighting for his life.
Sheldon from Big Bang Theory just killed the big bad assassin military guy.
Yeah, he caught him. He snuck up behind him with a big friggin' pipe wrench.
But that didn't stop him. That guy just got up and pulled out the knife and
That's because it's Sheldon wielding a pipe wrench. He can lift it.
But
it's basically just gravity at that point. There's no extra force.
So Jordan's dead, and so is our dumbass worst hitman ever guy since John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. So Steve Vincent Vega, thank you. Steve also receives the news, and he figures out that his only hope is to get the hell out of the country. Adrian says this can be accomplished. Because Adrian Cross, who's been playing Scorpion in the whatever that expression is, playing the game with him, playing the trying to manipulate him game with him, says to him that, yes, I've always told you you could get out of here. I always could get you out of here. But even though I said that I would get you out no matter what, there's one thing you need to do for me. And if you do this one last thing, I'll let you out. One last thing. That's all you're going to need to do. And what you need to do is bring me the override device. And Navarro's like, wait a minute, why do you need the override device? What's going on with that? His CIA instincts kick in. But just like a guy that's already committed the crime and now he's trying to have a moral high ground, it just doesn't work. And he's like, that's not any of your problem. Now
The fucked up thing is that even when he finds out what this thing can do, he still brings it to this guy. He's still like, oh, this thing can break into the Department of Defense. Jack Bauer gets back to CIA. The Department of Defense guy gets there and takes the machine and goes into the tech room and starts trying to figure out exactly what this thing can do. And they all come in the room after him a little while later, after Kate investigates this dead guy again for a few minutes. There's a scene there that we'll get to. But they're all sitting there, and the guy's like, oh my God, this is much more than just drone access. This can break any military system we have, any government system. This can break into anything. This is about much more than just drones. Navarro still
immediately do there. Joe, immediately you get on the phone, you say, we need a security team in here to guard this device, stat. Get them all.
Exactly. Everybody's going to become, if anybody else knows what this thing is or knows what's going on in the world of like espionage and spies and all this crap, people are coming for this thing.
The general knew, and that's why the general immediately jumped up and said, we'll send someone to your side in a minute, Jack Bauer. But if I was that general and not an idiot, I would have sent like a whole team. You wouldn't just send one lone guy that's going to be standing in there alone, by himself in an office.
Right.
You have Jack Bauer there for safety, but he can't be eagle-eyeing him the whole time.
And let me ask you a question. This is Navarro, a section chief, a CIA high up. He doesn't know how to get out of a country. If he doesn't know how to get out of the country on his own, how the hell is he going to stay hidden once he's gone? Like, I don't understand. Like, he needs this guy. This
money. He doesn't have money.
He's still using the deep throat voice, so he obviously has no clue who he's dealing with. That it's Adrian Cross. You know what I mean? Like, it's just. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around Navarro's choices,
his motivation, and everything.
Motivations at this point, right?
Yeah. Why was he doing it? Again? That was something.
He had no exit strategy. He stole all these documents and sold them to the Chinese. Framed this chick's husband and had no exit strategy. Then it was all, oh, if I need you, you'll get me out. The guy I'm working with. Come on.
And Joe, when you offer military secrets or information up, don't you usually get paid for that? Don't you usually have piles and piles of cash? Shouldn't he have a room like Scrooge McDuck with all of his money that he's gained from these bad situations? Usually guys...
Not if he did it for the same reasons that Adrian Cross does it, and that's to just get the information out there for free, because that's what Dave Navarro thinks.
Dave Navarro.
Or whatever his name is.
No,
right.
Navarro. It's the problem because he has two Jane's Addiction names. It's the creator of the show again just was a Jane's Addiction fan. Was like, oh, let's take the drummer's name and put it with the guitar player's last name. We got it perfect. But yeah, you got to figure. I don't think that's the case with Adrian. I think it's the case with Adrian Cross, but I don't think that's the case with Brat. I think it
How
was
could
just
that be
more.
the case even with Adrian Cross? Did you see the car he was driving when he picked up Chloe? All the equipment, all the computer equipment he's got to make money somehow. He's got to spend time. He's got to eat. He's got to pay rent. He's got to own things.
Joey, there's got the terrorists guts to eat too, Joe.
Right. They're not just all independently wealthy and then are like, I hate everything so much that I have millions of dollars in the bank that I'm going to blow the world up and I'm so bored I'm going to like hack into government agencies because I have millions of dollars and I'm so depressed. Like, come on.
Because I'm in a Batman mood today. It's not like either one of them are the Joker and want to watch it all burn either. They neither one of them seem like the kind that are like, I just want to watch it all burn. No, neither one of them. Like Margot was to a certain extent, but even her, she just wanted Heller to burn. Revenge. So revenge was more of a, if we're doing Batman villains, revenge is more of a Victor Freeze motivation from her end. That wife died and needs to kill everybody and stop it. Whereas we don't really, or not this season anyways, we've had them on 24 before. But on this season we don't really have a Joker. The closest would probably be her son, who seemed a little trigger happy at the end, where Ian's like, are you sure you want to give away these drones? We could just blow everything up.
No, but he was also about to walk out and say, like, I'm not going to be a part of this.
Yeah, he wasn't.
I'm not going to blow up Wembley Stadium and kill all these innocent people, Mom. And then she's like, "Your stepdad loved you. He needs you to kill those people for me." Do it. Like, you're right, Mom. Give me a big fat kiss. So like,
and then they French kiss, and it's really awkward. Actually, it was worse than a French
chance to give to Baelish.
We're gonna start the season next season with that. We're gonna definitely have some Sansa and Littlefinger.
Imagine that if Game of Thrones opens up with Sansa in bed with Baelish.
We'll talk more about this when we do our wrap-up episode. But I think ultimately, I was right. She liked the kiss. But whatever. On the show, it's different. She liked the kiss on the show. But we're going to get into that later. I'll talk a little bit about that later. I'm going to do, if anyone's listening to this from our Game of Thrones stuff, I'm going to do sometime this week an update video and clue you in on, from the Game of Thrones standpoint, how things are going to progress. We are going to do a little bit of a wrap-up, spoilery kind of podcast, and we're going to do some past episodes. But I'm also moving. So I'm going to do like an update video soon to let you know that next couple of months might be sparse, but we're going to get some stuff out there for you. So here we go. Back to Kate. Kate seeing Jordan's body, and as we said, she's really upset about it, and she's really sad. But she has Eric run the fingerprints of the dead assailant to find out his name. As Jack arrives back at the CIA, and right off the bat, he gets into a little bit of a pissing match with Steve to get the override. Steve's like, Jack's like, I have a guy that can look into all this information. When they find out about the Jordan information, I can have a guy that can look into. My people can look at this information, and Jack doesn't trust anybody. He's like a kitty cat that's been in a bad situation, so he's not trusting anything that he encounters. He's looking at everything as a possible threat, and he looks at Steve and goes, "Well, my people will look at it, and your people will look at it. We'll see who discovers things first." So he recognizes. Jack is really good.
How long is it going to take? Once he has it, not long. Not long,
a minute or two. And again, this scene really what it made me think, again, back to kind of what we were dealing with before. Jack Bauer is awesome at his job. Jack is so good at what he does. And
he knows a guy.
He knows a guy. He's got a guy for that.
For whatever that is, he knows a guy.
Yeah, he knows a guy. He knows a guy that can do it real cheap and illegal. and won't scrut around the edges, that will just get it done immediately. So Jack arrives back here, as I said. Jack seems
more like the type of guy that ends up collecting favors he owes to people than people owing him favors. You know what I mean? So I find it weird that he has so many I gotta guys.
Now, this is an interesting point that is something I was thinking about. Do you think it's tough on a show, and do you think this is why so many of the other characters are idiots, to work on a show and create a show where the main character is correct like 100% of the time? Because Jack's never wrong. He is. I mean, you got to figure that that's a little bit difficult to write complete drama and how you set up other characters that could be at. That's why I think so many people in the series, to go to 24 fans, really love Tony Almeida.
It's not hard for a writer to write. I got to imagine basically they just attribute all the characteristics of their wife or husband to that character, and there you go. They're always right. You know, like, what are you gonna do?
He might be a dick sometimes, but he's always right.
It's
Walter, you're not
whenever I think about how you write a character, Phil, I think about the scene from As Good as It Gets. You know women so well, Jack Nicholson. What do you do? What do you do? How do you write a woman so well? You're a fat old man. Oh, I write about a man and I take away reason and accountability.
And then the look in the woman's face, like, oh, I don't get it.
So you asking me that question immediately, that's what I thought of. But like, yeah, my answer's kind of close to that.
All Jack Bauer's characters, so Jack Bauer, he does have a few people around him that know stuff. I think when he encounters Kate, you can again see, as much as Audrey wants to get on the Jack Bauer, I'm skipping a lot of the Audrey stuff in the episode. She thanks Jack. She's really happy, Jack.
And her husband gives her that look like.
Yeah, they're throwing shade at each other.
That was a I'm going to fuck you later, thank you.
Yeah. I almost feel like it's not even worth talking about the Audrey storyline because I'm like frustrated by it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because Jack sort of fucked over Bordeaux here, especially when he called the Oval Office and kind of gets into the whole what I did and I did everything. Bordeaux, we talked a lot about this last week. He stepped up to the plate. He helped out just as much as Jack did.
That was going to help him out. Heller dies there. That helps him out. Nobody can say Heller. Now he has to basically bank on Heller going, oh, I have Alzheimer's. I didn't remember signing that. Jack, I'm sorry.
And Heller's not, and again, this series, we feared them doing it too much early that they were going to do it, but they just wanted to show you the signs of it. They really haven't gone out of the way on making his condition happen too quick. You know, it's not, no matter the stress he does face, he might have a few moments here and there, but he's not going to completely lose his mind in 12 hours. And I feared by the end here, but he would just turn into an invalid, but they didn't. They have him just as animated as ever, and just as crazy as ever. And I appreciate that they didn't go that route. So
or just as not crazy as ever.
Just as not crazy as ever. So Bordeaux is fucked. Bordeaux is fucked when this ultimately comes down. Because Audrey's not going to support him at all, and the president, once he finds out that he forged the signature, I mean, the Russians are probably going to do the whole put him up against a brick wall and say, either you just deliver Bauer on a silver platter to us, set him up in a situation where we take you. Yeah, or we bust you. And we're just going to make him disappear, and you'll never see him again. So Jack's guy in the Pentagon discovers that Jordan's assassin is this guy, James Harmon.
I hope we see Jack Bauer kill him.
Bordeaux?
Yeah.
Again, I need to give credit where credit is due to another podcast I listened to, Josh Wigler. And watching the first episode, his hope, he's like, you know, my first thought when meeting this guy Bordeaux is I want to see Jack torturing him by the end of the 12 hours day. I can't explain why. I just want to see that happen, and I couldn't.
Yeah, I'm with him.
The more time goes on, the more I want to see Jack torture Bordeaux. Tell me what you know. Oh, you set me up to the Russians? So, a lot of people think that this might be a lead up for Jack going to die at the end of this 12 hours. No. I say odds that Jack die are 10%. Less than 10%. 5% that Jack Bauer dies. Odds that Chloe dies, I'd say 40-50% they might kill Chloe or Audrey here at the end somehow. Or it'll be tough to kill Audrey because you're not putting herself in harm's way. Even though
Chloe's going to be on the spinoff, she needs some work.
So is Kate?
She'll be on the spinoff with the blonde chick.
See, I say blonde chick or Chloe die. One of the two of them are going to die by season's end. You can tell me no.
No, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Bordeaux and the president's daughter die. You want a chick to die? It's going to be the president's daughter.
Okay. You think Audrey's going to die?
It's going to be Jack. Bordeaux kills the president's daughter. Jack kills Bordeaux.
The Russians, by accident, kill Audrey when they think Jack's going to be in the spot, but Audrey goes to talk to Jack, but Jack's late. And so Bordeaux kills Audrey via the Russians.
Oh, yes. Here we go.
Oh.
Jack kills him.
Yes, and then the season ends after Jack kills Bordeaux and then goes on the run again because he can't live normal.
Right, he killed the president's advisor. You can't.
And he's going to end up being blamed for Audrey's death, too, somehow.
Right.
So we figure we don't have to watch the end of 24. We know the best ending.
Our ending's probably better.
It's so good to be able to watch. Like, as much as I love Game of Thrones, it is awesome to be able to watch a show you don't know what's going to happen.
Yes, it is.
So Jack discovers that Steve's crooked in less than 2 minutes with some investigation into his past, where this guy worked with him in the military, or he was. Navarro was the hitman's commanding officer in the worst unit ever in a military organization. A bunch of dumbasses. So this was really cool Jack moment. He just discovered it right away. And Steve Navarro, this is where Benjamin Bratt stepped up. In this scene, and the whole lead up, we talked about this at the beginning, so I won't go ad nauseum on it. But Jack and Navarro, both actors, Bratt and Sutherland, played this scene so well with Bratt just needing to get Jack out of the room and wanting to get him out of the room and knowing that he needed to get the device. It was like, and everybody that's watching knew he needed to get the device, but no one in the scene could tell. So you're sort of like, you have that awesome feeling of knowing something that the characters in the scene don't know, and you're just watching Bratt like kind of being outside of himself, trying to get you seeing the two sides of him, the Batman voice shift that he has when he becomes a bad guy a couple of times, and when he has and then him trying to be the head of the CIA and kind of trading barbs with Jack back and forth. But he ends up killing the CIA employee that's overriding the device, and he grabs it, puts it in a bag, and runs to the streets of London, where and this is where we get our funny moment. As Navarro's leaving, he instructs the guy at the gate, the guy from Thor that's guarding the gate there, and to not, whatever you do, don't let anybody through this door. And you think that this is going to be a problem for Jack as Jack's chasing the guy down. Jack chases into there, and he goes, freeze, don't move, open the door, I want to open the door now, blah, 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 blah. And then he just throws the gun, puts the gun away, knocks him the fuck out, opens the door, goes after him. Oh, I forgot to mention that we have a conversation with Chloe and Jack when Jack says, see you back at CIA headquarters, and Chloe says, it was fun, like old times, but nope, I'm not coming with you, Jack.
Yeah, she's dead, drones are gone, not my problem, bye.
Bye, Jack. I need to get to the convenience store to get my makeup to fix my eye makeup, because it's all running.
President's not dead, bye.
Yeah, good old times, Jack, thanks. So after this point, Steve's running and Jack's chasing after him. We get the call from Navarro after Navarro eventually ditches Jack. Jack can't quite keep up with him. Navarro has a head start on him, and it's just too hard to keep track of him in the streets of London like that. Navarro had too much of a head start. So he calls Cross up to confirm that he's had the override device and he needs help out of the country. Cross hangs up the phone on him and goes, good, meet me at XYZ location. And Chloe gets back in the car from again, I know I'm saying it ad nauseum, but it's true. She went in to go to the bathroom to fix her makeup. They make it a clear thing where they show that she fixed everything. And I just think it's, again, we talked about this a lot at the beginning. I don't want to get too into it, but I thought it was a little weird that they had time to stop for this. But okay. So Chloe gets back in the car, and Cross tells her that they need to go meet up with an old friend, and then they kiss. So we get to understand a lot more where Chloe's coming from here. She lost her husband, she lost her kid, they disappeared or they're dead. It's never really clearly defined at the beginning of the season what exactly happens to them. So she was in a difficult state, and Cross stepped in. Again, this leads me to believe, to go down where 24, we're going to write 24, that her husband and son aren't dead, they're kidnapped, or they were killed, or they are dead and they were killed, but Cross is the one that did this because he needed to target her as one of the best computer hackers in the country to get her on his team and completely manipulate her. So to do that, he killed her son and husband. Yep. So to make sure she was in a difficult and emotional enough state to be able to peep in there and do his bad guy stuff and completely manipulate her.
You're correct about this. I think that is a great synopsis. Jack's going to expose that.
Yeah. And I seem to think they wouldn't have gone through all this. Maybe some of this stuff is stuff that they would have done if there was a 24 episode season arc, maybe they won't do it now, but I'm hoping that that ends up happening because we were right about, excuse me, whoa, we were right about Kate's husband not being guilty. And
Yep, and we were right about Adrian Cross being a real bad guy, or the voice on the phone to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, you could just recognize that guy's voice. Scream, Walmart voice changer or not.
Yeah.
So just like that, we're done. That was basically the end of the episode. Beep 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 beep. As Jack's chasing after Navarro and needs to find a new lead to get to him, and doesn't really know what's going on. And I don't usually talk about it, but scenes from next week definitely show that we might be dealing with a nuclear sub, a Chinese nuclear sub that this thing might be able to hack into, and Chloe does not seem happy about finding out that Adrian Cross is the bad guy. So that's what leads me to believe that Chloe might die, but I agree, you don't have a show without Chloe and Jack. I mean, Jack is the show, but
you can replace. You saw how badass blonde chick got there, like getting off of that cross. That was a painful position she was in.
You're still with the okay. So let's get into it. What's your percentage that Jack Bauer might die? Because
I think it's high. I think maybe you bring him back to do that, to have a spin-off and you kill him. I think that could work to start your spin-off series.
I don't think 24 works without Jack Bauer. I think Jack Bauer is 24, and I'll go a step further that this isn't a character you could recast. Jack
Bauer.
Why
they're not going to recast it. They're going to make it the blonde chick.
I think I hear what you're saying, but because I think they do love her. To me, what I think is more likely is that the writers will use her as a main character in another project that they do in the future. I don't think you'll see 20. And again, I could be wrong. I do not think you'll see a 24 spin-off series. That's difficult for me to imagine.
I think they feel like they missed an opportunity with Homeland. And they didn't put Claire Danes in the field enough, doing the action enough. There's a lot of action, there's a lot of field work, and there's a lot of great stuff in Homeland, but not this kind of Jack Bauer over the top, super commando, super spy, all this stuff. I think the producers feel like they missed an opportunity. They got the traditional James Bond male archetype Jack Bauer or Jason Bourne or whatever. They missed the opportunity to go for that alias-ish type, the female, and I think they might be able to do it better. So
now
I'm holding out hope still that they think they can do it, the female lead, better than it's been done in the past with the format that they have, and giving it a Jack Bauer, Kiefer Sutherland style intro is better than just trying to start that on its own without, I mean. I don't think they're getting the kind of ratings they hope to get with this 12-episode series.
A lot has to do with the timing. If they'd put this show out in the fall, they would definitely be doing a lot better in the ratings. This is a little Fox inside information. I guess Fox has been toying with the idea of doing year-round programming, and in this year they're doing some testing where they're having programs come out not just in the fall season and come out all throughout the year. And I think because 24 was a very popular property that they had, they want to do some testing out with something like 24, and I think they're actually pretty happy with the numbers they're getting for this time of year compared to what other shows are getting, and I think it is enough if you count DVR, and it's a very pirated show, and it is getting some attention. It's not getting the direct live ratings anymore, but people don't, in the fall, if it's not the fall and the winter, people don't watch TV like that at all that much. They watch it when they can.
People still not be out of the house. They want to still be at the beach at 8 o'clock. It's light.
I agree with you that it's not getting the buzz, and I think part of the problem with that is what it was going up against for half the season is Game of Thrones is getting all the buzz. If 24 had started now and was running through the summer or something, I mean, that would still be tough because of the summer. But if it was running not against something like some of those shocks might have been more internet blast-worthy, more so people were talking about it more. I think that's where you look at 24 and you wonder if it's successful because it's not getting necessarily a lot of, I know this is an old term, but it's still relevant. It's not getting a lot of water cooler talk. there's not a lot of people sitting there like going, oh, did you see 24 last night? You see what happened? That you're getting on shows like The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or even the show like Sons of Anarchy. You're not quite getting. I think part of that does have to do with when it's being aired, and this time period is sort of a dead time for television. But I think it's doing all right in the ratings. We'll see if it comes back. If it's not coming back, if they know it's not coming back, Jack might in fact die. We got a couple of questions or a couple of comments. What is wrong with Chloe's eye makeup? I think Chloe will get killed.
It's yeah. What is wrong with it?
This is after the Catelyn Stark dying. Boom, and there you have it, guys. God, this is why I love 24 from Lisa Rice. Thank you, Lisa. I bet Jack has more than 8 bullets in his gun. Jack has as many bullets as he wants in his gun. And our last question, what are the odds of Navarro surviving this season? 0%. 0% chance. He is dying in the next episode by Adrian Cross. That's how Chloe's finding out he's a bad guy.
Benjamin Bratt, for the last since Law and Order, I think I've seen him die in everything he's been on.
Yeah, he's dead.
They kill him in everything now.
He's dead. He's so dead. So, Joe, this is a good place to cut off here. We'll go away and go catch our breaths and get excited for the clock to start again for our last 3 episodes of 24. And then I can't believe it. It's so weird. It's so weird that Game of Thrones is already over. That we're already past that point. It's weird that we're almost done with 24. I can't believe that we've done almost 11 of the almost seen 12. We're almost up to the 10 episode point. And the fact that the summer's about to start, and then the fall's happening, and then Walking Dead's coming back before we know it. We're at the point where we're definitely talking about and doing episode recaps of Gotham. That is a definite, at least the premiere episode. In some cases, with some of the new shows that we picked to do, we're going to do premiere episodes, and then if the premiere episode is so horrible or so, then that means we'll definitely do it. But if it's but you know what I mean. If once we do one show, we'll be able to decide whether we want to continue to do it. We're not gonna be like, oh, we did a show, and then we have to do the whole season. We might do a couple of pilots and a couple of first episodes, and then make some decisions of what we're gonna do in the fall. But
we have high hopes for Gotham anyway.
High hopes for Gotham, yeah, especially with all the good stuff I've been hearing about Arrow, which is a DC television show, and it's not on a big budget channel. It's on CW, I believe, which is a lot less budget than what Fox is going to be giving Gotham to be done. So let's hope that they do. I like the casting that's happening in that show. So it's gonna be a lot of stuff coming in the fall. Sons of Anarchy and Walking Dead are must-haves for us the last season of all those shows. So there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff happening in the summertime. I said I'll put out an update video soon, but there'll be a little less coverage in the summer. We're gonna definitely do a couple podcasts on Orange is the New Black at some point. Probably have Joe and Gotti coming in to have a sort of a roundtable discussion about the season as a whole. Also put out a lot of our convention coverage, catch up on that stuff, which will be coming out soon. Some interviews that we got at Walker StalkerCon will be coming. And a couple of here and there podcasts that Joe and I will be doing about Game of Thrones. But as I was mentioning earlier, and might as well just top this off here, and I'll do a video on this, but also talk about it right here. I might be moving, so I have to keep my gear in limbo. If I move, you might see Joe and I in the same room up in Joe's attic or something. I don't know about that. If I'm sleeping at Joe's house for a little while I'm homeless. But Issue Studios is moving. Overall, this is a good thing. And I'll actually be able to have a studio, a single room, not be in the middle of my kitchen, to build a complete studio, so we can do a little bit more decorating with it. I can put some posters up and just kind of turn the room more into a workspace that I can work at all hours of the night to get even more content out for you guys. But this is going to be happening, and also my work that I'm hoping to not work forever, but no, my work that I do is a busy summer season. I'm a performer, and I have a lot of performances in the summer. In fact, in the month of July, I'm working pretty much I'm working probably 25 days out of July. No, 2, 4, 6, 8. 22 days out of July. So I'm going to be super ridiculously busy. So stuff might be sparse in July. August is a little bit more clear as we're hyping up, so you might see the Game of Thrones coverage come back in August, and occasionally here and there as time allows. But the moving and the work might all be happening in July, so July is going to be a big clusterfuck.
Busy month.
Yeah, it's vacation month for our YouTube page. So we're not going to be invisible, but there it is. And I'll also, like I said, supply this all in a separate update video / thank you for a wonderful season video type stuff.
Aww.
Aw, no, seriously though, we do love you guys. Anyways, thank you so much, guys. We will be back next week to talk about more 24, and you never can tell when we might pop up during the week. So everybody, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you next week.
Later.